This is the Field of 68. I'm Vince Wolfram.
I'm Jojo Cavanagh in Auburn, Alabama. And this
is Straight Out the Jungle. Welcome back to Straight Out the Jungle. My name is Vince Wolfram.
I'm Jojo Cavanagh.
And today, number 1 Auburn escaped a scare from the Arkansas Razorbacks, who came in and made Auburn, they gave Auburn a tough offensive performance tonight. Auburn wasn't their best on offense, uncharacteristically for sure, but they did pull out another win, 67-60. Auburn now, they beat Alabama on Saturday.
Crushed
they
Alabama.
Would have lost tonight. It would have been their second straight home game. So they've lost. So they avoided that one with a win tonight against Arkansas.
Escaped is the perfect word for this because it was going back and forth. There were 11 lead changes throughout this game. And in the final couple minutes, Arkansas had a lead after kind of a little bit of a Chad Baker-Mazara kind of got the ball loose, and then he ended up coming back. But Arkansas had a lead within 4 minutes left in the game. And Auburn offensively, it was not the best night. They were 25 for 62 on the floor. Bruce Pearl talked about it, said, our offense left a lot to be desired. Not a good offensive night for Auburn at all. And that is very, very true.
Yeah, he recognized that too. He said something along the lines of, like, we've had games like this and we've lost them before. Auburn was basically lucky to pull this one out with the way that they shot the basketball. And I do want to point out, and it's not like Arkansas was too far behind them either. You look at a guy like Cavanagh Isavic. He is known to be a Kristaps Porzingis-like player. He's an overseas guy. Came to Coach Cal and is putting his game together, and his best quality is the fact that he can shoot the ball at his size, 7 foot whatever. He's tall as can
7'2".
be. 7'2", and can shoot it today. That was not as much the case. He was 0 for 9 from 3, which is exactly what Bruce Pearl and company tried to prevent, was him shooting threes and making threes, because the games that Arkansas has won, he's been effective from the three-point line.
He's a 45% three-point shooter. So to go 0 for 9?
Yeah. Auburn did a really good job of running him off the line, and Cal likes a lot of that flex action at the top to get him open threes. Auburn played right through that, and they really bothered him tonight, which I thought was a big piece overall in the poor shooting night from Arkansas, but also why Auburn could score more points than Arkansas did was simply because they kept that guy off the three-point line.
Yeah, Coach Cal was in his conference, and he said that Arkansas was 3 for 19 from 3. He said if it's 8 for 19, this is a different game, and that's 100% true. I mean, there was a couple of times where I'm going to call him Big Z because that name is crazy, but Big Z is wide open, and Coach Cal was like, if maybe go drive and make a 2 instead. There were a couple of points where Johni Broome was on him. I think he did great defensively on him, but he was just missing shots. It wasn't great shooting night for him overall.
Yeah, and one thing that Coach Cal said that I think really, really resonated was that when he shot the ball, everybody in the arena, everybody on each bench thought that ball was going in. Because Big Z, that's what he does. He shoots threes.
Except one person.
Except one person, and that person being Big Z. So a tough night for that guy, but Auburn was able to capitalize. You look at a guy like Johni Broome, whose Player of the Year candidacy website just launched.
And Chad Baker-Mazara
right
said,
after the game.
Easy.
Yeah, easy Player of the Year. Chaney Johnson basically said without a doubt. But it wasn't a hot start for Auburn. And Chad Baker-Mazara, his third game now coming off the bench, and replaced by Chris Moore in the starting lineup. And Chad talked to us in the media room about that too. He said he talked to Coach Pearl today and said, we've started the last couple games on good runs. We've had good opening starts to the game with Chris Moore in the lineup. Why change it up?
And I love that coming from Chad Baker-Mazara because, technical foul tonight, there are a lot of things that eventually, yes, 100% that could cost Auburn a game. But that statement right there proving that there is good character within Chad Baker-Mazara, saying, I don't need to be in the starting lineup. If Auburn is going on good runs against Vanderbilt, against Alabama, I'm going to do what's best for the team. I'm going to come off the bench and have Simo have that start. And I thought that was really cool to hear from Chad Baker-Mazara.
Yeah, and he had a couple of clutch buckets late, which we'll talk about. But I do want to start in the first half because it was nose-to-nose the entire first half. No team broke away. In fact, I think most people for both fan bases were probably pretty frustrated watching the first half. You felt like the ball could not find the bottom of the net. Denver Jones and Miles each with 5 points. Like it was 19-17. With 7 minutes left.
It was just a horrible shooting night for both teams.
I think it resembled the Tennessee game a lot in that aspect. Like, it was tough defense from both sides. offensively, it just wasn't clicking for either side. But Miles and Denver got going early. They gave Auburn some spark. And I think that translated into the second half because those two dudes, they didn't stop all night. And that gave Auburn some energy.
I agree with that. I think Denver Jones in the first half, the first couple of minutes, especially when he knocked down that three, coming off reigning SEC Player of the Week, National Player of the Week, I just thought he played with so much more confidence and so much more swagger, and he was just comfortable shooting the basket. And I thought that was really, really cool to see. Just coming off of, like we said, the Florida game and having those back-to-back games, SEC Player of the Week. There were 2 points where the shot clock was winding down throughout this game, and he makes step-back jumpers, and they are easy. He walks away, he knows he made it. So I just thought that was really cool, coming off such a big win for him.
Yeah, and DJ Wagner, the point guard for Arkansas, was a major component in the preparation for this game. The first half, I think, is where DJ made his biggest impact and kept Arkansas in the game and kept Auburn on their toes. There was a lot of times where he would get switched onto sort of the swing players, the small forwards, the Chads, the Mileses, and DJ. That's why he's a Coach Cal product. He's a dribble drive machine. He got to his right hand. He got to attack the basket. Which, when DJ Wagner does that, that's not a good sign. And Auburn needed to clean that up in the second half, and they sure did. Let's look at the second half now, though, because that's where this game really started to break down. It was a game of runs in the second half. It was Auburn. It was Arkansas climbing back. It was Auburn again. A big run from Arkansas where they take the lead, like you mentioned, with just 3 minutes remaining in this game. But it's Johni Broome at the end of the day steps in with a big shot to give Auburn the lead again.
Yeah, Coach Cal and Bruce Pearl both talked about this, is that this was a game-winning rebound. And even Bruce Pearl compared it to that kind of Iowa State rebound, which won them the game in those final seconds.
Literally won them the game, yeah.
Chaney misses, Johni Broome is there, and get a game-winning offensive rebound. And that was just, there was also the point, like I said, where Chad Baker-Mazara loses the ball, comes back, and he said that Bruce Pearl always talks about when you make a bad play, come back and make a good play after that. And he drives to the basket, makes a layup, and then he has 4 points because he makes both free throws at the end of the court. So I think the last few seconds were Chad Baker-Mazara and Johni Broome, especially that game-sealing rebound and points and dunk by Johni Broome.
Yeah, in those last 3 minutes, I thought the play of Chad, and we saw a handful of uncharacteristic turnovers tonight too, from the guards, from the forwards. There was just it was sloppy, like Bruce had mentioned, and the play wasn't as uptight as Auburn usually is, and almost a silly moment. Chad. The ball ends up in the defender's hands. It's a Chad turnover. They get the ball back, and he goes and scores immediately. So right on that point, it's the maturity of this team, and it was talked about a little bit in there too. But Johni Broome, he's an older guy. Chad Baker-Mazara, people love to say he's an older guy, but it's so helpful at this point in the season where in a game like this you rely on what these guys know how to do and how they've done it before. I mean, you get in a spot like this, it was a Tennessee dupe. That's basically what this game was. It was a game where Auburn didn't get it going offensively, but they found a way to win. And at the end of the day, if you want to go win a championship, if you want to have a run in March,
you got to win these games.
That's the kind of game you need to win now, so you can prove to not only to other teams that you know how to close games, because Coach Cal stressed that in the presser too. He talked about we haven't closed games all year. Like, that's why we're in the spot that we are.
And Auburn has. That's why they're the number one
team.
team.
Auburn has. That's why they're the number one team, and they've done it all year. This is the second, I think, big-time game in which they've done it in conference play, with Tennessee being the first in this arena. I thought the rebounds down the stretch and the play of Chad Baker-Mazara, and especially just Chaney Johnson in the second half. Oh, my goodness. A+ for me for Chaney Johnson in the second half. Felt like there was moments where give Chaney the rock. Like, let's do some offense around Chaney. Let's run some stuff for this guy, because he couldn't miss.
He could not miss. There was a point where it was a 7-0 Chaney Johnson run, and then there was another point where he had Auburn's last 10 points. It just kind of felt like, give Chaney Johnson the ball, like you said. And every time he has 2 defenders on him and he just turns around and makes that jumper, you know it is going in. I think that is my favorite shot on this entire team, is when Chaney Johnson has the ball, no one's open, and he just goes and makes that jumper.
Yeah, cruise control Chaney is something that I want to see more of, because when he gets in that mode where he's got the ball, he's patient, he relaxes, and he goes and gets to his spots and scores the basketball. Nothing more beautiful, more majestic on the court.
Also, his dunks tonight were pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Back-to-back dunks.
The dunk pop, I'll put that in. Oh, my goodness. On the fast break dunk, when he got it and you heard the crowd go, ooh. Like, it could not get much better than that. And Auburn, I think that the takeaway for them tonight is ball security and at the rim defense, because Auburn that was the goal. They wanted to let Arkansas shoot threes. They were okay with DJ Wagner shooting threes outside of Big Z. That was the only one that they didn't want to get hot from behind the line. They were living with DJ Wagner shooting threes. That paid off. They lived with Adu Thiero shooting threes. That paid off. Arkansas was not good from the three-point line tonight, and that's putting it in a fair state. Auburn did what they wanted to do on that end, but in terms of what Auburn's defense is on the inside, what it is indoors for Dylan Cardwell, for Chaney Johnson, for Johni Broome, they let Arkansas get to the rim a lot. And
Arkansas had 40 points in the paint. Auburn had 30. So 10 more points in the paint.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big thing, I think, this week. I know there's been struggles with fouls, and I know there's that intimidation factor for guys like Dylan, guys like Chaney, who don't want to overdo it and attack those guys that are going to the basket. But I felt like there was a lot of straight up tonight when I thought there could have been some more go for the basketball, go for a block, try to stuff it off the glass. Perimeter defenders did a pretty good job of forcing, like in the Alabama game when I mentioned how Denver Jones forces the guys into Johni Broome, into Dylan Cardwell. They tried to do the same tonight, but those guys didn't show up as they usually had.
Yeah, it kind of felt like they were forcing them off the three-point line, but when they were driving to the basket, the inside rim protection wasn't as great. However, the rebounding was what won Auburn this game tonight. Both Coach Cal and Bruce Pearl said it. Auburn had 42 rebounds compared to Arkansas's 29. Auburn won the battle on the glass tonight, and that is what led them to win this game. In a game where you're not shooting great offensively, winning the rebounding battle is huge, and that's what made Auburn win this game. Yeah,
certainly, and that's where I think the bigs and the guards both stepped in. A big piece of that, Miles Kelly. Bruce talked about it in the presser today. Miles Kelly, 8 rebounds tonight. That's the big guard of the game for me. Is Miles Kelly. I haven't had a big guard of the game in a little bit.
Yeah, where was that then? Well, we got it.
I guess there's 2. Miles Kelly's 8 rebounds or Dylan Cardwell's lob from the middle of the paint. I'll put the clip in now. It's a thing of beauty seeing the big fella pass the rock like that. I mean, gosh, you can't beat it. 44 dishing the ball out like that. Love to see it. But Miles Kelly, big on the boards tonight. In a night where Auburn needed it, where the bigs weren't playing up to their usual par, Miles Kelly stepped in. He's a 6'6" guard. He plays off 2 feet, can get into the paint, get the long rebounds. I thought he's super, super duper stepped up. In
a game where he wasn't shooting great either.
Exactly, and I think his stepping up in multiple categories. We've talked about it game by game by game. It's becoming more and more important. In a game like this, that just proves it.
Yeah. I want to talk also about the relationship between Tahad Pettiford and Johni Broome.
Beautiful.
I think it was the Ole Miss game where you saw that there was a little bit of miscommunication between the two. Tonight, that couldn't be farther from the truth. So there was a point where there was... I just had to do math in my head. 3, 4, 5, 7 points that were all. I'm a journalist major in math, but I think I just got it. 7 points that were all contributed by Tahad Pettiford in some way, shape, or form. He nailed down the 3, that 3 was huge because Arkansas was going on a run.
Yep.
Gives the pass to Johni Broome. Johni Broome makes a basket. And then after that, passes it to Johni Broome again and makes a basket. And there was just multiple times where it was the pass under the basket. Johni Broome is open. And the freshman finding Johni Broome to that, I just thought that connection in itself tonight was beautiful and on display.
And I'll even take the other side of that. Johni Broome passing the ball tonight.
Ooh,
he had one
that
pass
play was
in the
incredible.
first half, that sweet hook pass to the corner. He's done that a couple of times, and it's either found Miles Kelly or Chad or Todd. Today, I think, was by far his best one.
That was the winner. It was such a tight window, and I watched that on repeat, probably 10 times.
Yeah, and I mean, Johni, being the passer that he is, adds to that National Player of the Year campaign. He can score the ball. His double-doubles seem to be in the stat categories every single night. His assisting and the way that he gets his teammates involved is unbelievably underrated. He does lead the team in assists. Can't forget that.
That is not talked about enough.
No. The fact that he's leading Auburn in the 3 major categories, points, rebounds, and assists, should be noted more because his ability to pass, his ability to, when the defense collapse on him, because for obvious reasons, right, he finds people, and whether it's Miles Kelly, whether it's finding a screen and roll action where he can give the ball to Tahad, roll back, and Tahad can find him again. He works his way into the offense in such a smooth way. He can score the ball when he wants to. He can call it from the post if he wants to, hand up, post down, and he's going to score the basketball. He can do that. He can get rebounds, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. He can start offense. He does it by rebounding and passing. I mean, I could go on.
That's why the website dropped tonight.
I could go on for days about
rebounds, points, assists, the way he blocks. I mean, Johni Broome is one of the best blockers on the team along with Dylan Cardwell. Yeah. Every single stat category is Johni Broome.
Yeah, and the researchers can go out and look and try to find a game where he was negative in the plus-minus category. Good luck. Good luck. That's what I'll tell you. Good luck, because tonight he was 6 over. He played 32 minutes to be 6 over. That's fantastic, and his impact on the game so positive, and it affects everybody at every position. That's just how that works. When Miles is rebounding like he is, that impacts Johni. When Johni's passing the ball like he is, that impacts everybody on the floor. So another just a player of the year performance from Johni, and he did it in another low-key way, which is sweet.
A double-double is normal for him. Chaney Johnson said that. He just looked at it and was like, yeah, that's just like normal for him. That's why National Player of the Year, to have a double-double be normal for you.
Yeah. I mean, he's averaging one, literally. 18.1 points per game, almost 11 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.7 blocks per game. I'm reading this, I can't even believe it. Almost 1 steal. That's absurd. He's doing absurd things, and I'm kind of in agreement with Chaney and Chad. I think it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy for me. Add in the competition piece to it and who he's going against every night. He's getting everybody's
quad
best
one
night.
game every night.
Yeah,
perfect from the free throw line tonight, too. I feel like coming into this beginning of the season, I was so worried about Johni Broome shooting free throws, especially that game a couple years ago in March Madness against Houston. Johni Broome with free throws. Tonight was perfect from the free throw line, and has just continued to make those free throws throughout the games, these past few games.
Yeah, and we've talked about Johni's defense. We talked about Dylan, all the guards. I want to touch on Denver Jones's again, because tonight he had another big deal to do with it. And you look at the guards from Arkansas. DJ Wagner, 5 for 12. You look at, obviously, Ivicic, who's playing on the perimeter, so can be guarded by guards, 0 for 9. You had, Adu Thiero, he was their leading scorer tonight. He was still 6 for 13. So across the board, the guards shooting the ball outside of Billy Richmond III, it wasn't pretty for Arkansas. And I think that's primarily due to the defense of Miles Kelly and Denver Jones. So perimeter defense stepped up, I thought, but rim defense needed to be a little better.
I agree. There is something that I saw on Twitter that I feel like has to be shared into the world, and I'm going back to the Alabama game just for a second. Are you the one that shared this with me?
I think I was.
I think you were. Do you want to say it? I think it's so funny. I'm bringing it up.
Is it the clipboards?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought you were talking about the awesome, lovely clipboards that were smashed tonight in the SEC, because
I was going to actually bring
that
up.
And John Calipari had one.
I was actually going to have a toast to clipboards, so.
I was going to have a toast to the death of clipboards, because there's 2 missing tonight.
I was going to bring up Kmart.
Go for it.
I saw this thing on Twitter, and I just
favorite store, Kmart.
It is so funny, and it said, I'm probably going to word it wrong, but it was like Denver Jones.
Called
is
Denver
like
Jones Kmart the way he shut down Sears.
Yeah, because he put Sears out of business. I
It's a
just
good
had to
one.
bring it up.
No,
Found a way to do it. It was
definitely,
awesome.
yeah, definitely
whoever
a good one.
wrote that, you're amazing.
True. Shout out to you. No, but it's true. And, he can shut down all kinds of stores if he keeps this up. But no, I thought Denver Jones was fantastic tonight. Another good offensive performance. So he's similar to, like I talked about the other day. If we could see him string together a couple of Vanderbilt games, a couple of Alabama games, it's going to be danger
like
in
Nato
Denver.
said, I thought he was good. I didn't think he was that good. And when Denver Jones gets going, this team is a whole nother beast.
Yeah, Danger with Denver is a segment that we should have in the show, because it seems like every game he's got something for opposing guards, whether it's 3 balls or whether it's locking them down. He's always got something for them. So we brought up the clipboards, and there was clipboard smash tonight in Auburn, Alabama. It was a great thing. It was right in front of me. Assistant coach is trying to hide it. Couldn't do it. I got eyes in the back of my head, Buster. You're not going to get away with that. But it was a little chippy tonight. And I think you can always expect that when the tensions are high, when you've got the number 1 ranked team in the country going against an Arkansas team that
on the bubble.
Enters every game with a chip on their shoulder. They related it to Florida. When Auburn came in here, Bruce talked about one thing he wished he prepared his team better for was how much this game meant to Florida. He said he didn't need to do that tonight, because I think the guys knew that Arkansas was in the position that they were in, fighting for a chance in the 64-team tournament come March. You could tell this game got chippy. There was technicals. There was trash talk. There was every last bit of stuff that I love in a basketball game. We had it tonight, and whether it was from Big Z,
whether it was from Chad Baker-Mazara,
standing over Chaney Johnson, getting a technical, whether it was from Chad Baker-Mazara, talking smack, hitting threes in front of the Arkansas bench and giving them a word. Think what you want about the technicals and about the chippiness. I'm going to say it builds character, and I'll leave it.
I'm going to say another thing that builds character is that Florida loss at home could, looking back at this at the end of that season, that could be one of the best things that has happened to this team. I mean, just looking at the games since then, Vanderbilt, Alabama, tonight, just losing at home, losing in the jungle, losing in the way that they did. Yes, tonight wasn't a great offensive performance, but they found a way to win. And that's why this team is so good. It's because, and we brought this up before, the seniority. And I think Coach Cal bringing that up is kind of crazy to me, but I also loved it, bringing up Texas A&M and Auburn, how they have these older guys on their roster. And that's the way that's probably why they find ways to win, is because these guys have been in those positions before. And coming from Coach Cal, who was known at Kentucky as kind of the one and done school, coming back and now he's at Arkansas, but realizing that Bruce Pearl is proving that older guys and having that experience is key.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think he's learning that because look at his roster too. He had to form a team with a bunch of guys that he pulled from Kentucky and whoever he could get in just after the season, which wasn't a lot of people. He came into Arkansas, one guy on the roster. He had to build a team of guys that had already played for him, outside of Boogie Fland, who didn't even play tonight because he's out for the year. He had to go get guys, and I think he's learning that. And I think the Cal teams of the past are in the past for a reason. And Kentucky, Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas past. You could call it the ghost of Kentucky past. Is this Arkansas team?
Yeah, he did come into the press conference wearing blue. He switched up his outfit. Me and Vince looked at each other and we were like,
I said,
interesting.
Is that blue? Yes, it was. I never thought I'd see that again.
Yeah, I was kind of confused.
I know. It was a little odd. It's like he wants to be a blue blood again. But despite that, I will say Arkansas, they did more than I expected them to do tonight. I thought Auburn would be more uptight and would be more focused on being focused, I guess is a weird way to put that, but it's true. I thought that they would come in with a little more laser to them, wanting to take it to teams, kick their butts early, and then sort of ride out a win from there. But that wasn't the case. They kind of were sluggish. They felt like a step slow, and Arkansas capitalized on that for the majority of the game. But like you said, I want to speak to that seniority point. That's what won Auburn the game tonight. That's what I think it will win them games in the future. You bring up Florida, I am right on par with you there. I think that game is going to change the outlook of Auburn's season. If you look at the great teams that have won national championships over the last couple of years, there's always that loss against another good conference team that just punches them in the mouth a little bit and makes you.
Ohio State losing to Michigan, this is football, but I think that was a turning point for them.
Yeah, you look at national championship teams, and they face adversity and stuff like this, whether it's good teams, bad teams. Maybe take another football example. Look at Notre Dame.
Yep.
They lose to Northern Illinois. That's a gut punch. And for Auburn, I think losing with College game day in the building, or not without, I guess not College game day, but the
Pearlville. Everyone's sleeping outside.
It felt like everybody and their mother was in Auburn and was sleeping outside and was in a tent for an entire week. Having them come in and lose to Florida and be it the scene that it was, Florida waving bye to the Neville Arena fans as they exited the arena, having the game go the way it did, I think that was a gut punch, and I think it changed this team.
You just read my mind. I was like, gut punch.
I think it changed this team for good by a lot, like with a lot of focus. They're going to they obviously have gotten back on the right track. They've got an extra swagger to them, though, that I think is danger.
Losing to Duke, it was Duke on the road.
Yep.
Losing to Florida at home, in a way, I was glad they had a loss at home because I do think it flipped the switch on this team, and hopefully we'll come back and look at it as that was one of the best things that happened to this team.
Yeah, and I think Duke, too, like that loss, at the time, you're okay with that loss.
Oh, yeah.
Florida comes in and they skunk you in your own house. Yeah, you're not okay with that.
Definitely not.
Not okay with that. But they did enough to win tonight. They escape Arkansas 67-60. Arkansas now 15-11, I think is their record now. On the bubble, Coach Cal joked. He was like, yeah, we're in. Talking about the schedules for both teams the rest of the way.
Awesome.
He was fantastic.
One of my favorite coaches in a press conference ever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just loose, ready to talk,
so
ready
funny.
to joke. And it was conversational, too, which I thought was fun. I had been in Coach Cal press conferences before covering teams in Kentucky. Today, I thought he was pretty conversational, and they joked about he would walk into press conferences at Kentucky and basically like trivia question everybody in there. Didn't do that as much today, but he did have some fun talking about just how good the SEC is. And there isn't a level of appreciation, and I know Auburn fans feel it too, because there was a time this conference in basketball, they were not good, far from it. Coach Cal even mentioned 3 teams used to be good in the SEC, and probably the year he's talking about is what? Kentucky, Florida, and Vanderbilt. They won the SEC at some point in those early 2010s. For it to be a 12-team race now with SEC teams trying to make the big dance, awfully impressive, awfully cool to see where the league is going. And Cal talked about, he was like, I was one of the early people that was like, these teams deserve to be in.
And he was like, I was lying.
Yeah, he was like, I was lying, but look at him now.
But now he's like.
And there's so many teams that have stepped up their game. There's so many teams that have modeled off of what Auburn, what Kentucky, what Coach Cal and Bruce Pearl and the great coaches that have come through the SEC have done, and they've sort of had results similar. So I just want to say I appreciate, too, that Cal, being as honest as he was, his team's not at the top of the SEC. Mm-mm. He appreciates that the SEC is what it is. He said if we get in, meaning Arkansas, if we get in or not, if 12 teams get in or not, like, I'm going to make the most of this year, and I'm going to learn from it. But also, like, if we're in it, cool. If we're not in it, there's still 12 teams that are in it.
He was so transparent and just shared so much knowledge and information. Like, just wanted to honestly give a shout-out. That was one of the coolest coach press conferences I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the appreciation, especially after you lost, like, you got to put yourself in their shoes tonight, too. Lost away, Arkansas did tonight. They had a lead with 3 minutes left against the #1 team in a game that could absolutely swing their season in a direction that would change their march. As simple as that is, could change their march, and the road for them doesn't get any easier. They travel to Missouri next, who
just mollywopped Alabama. Sorry.
Who just beat Alabama in a surprising fashion by a lot. And I know they missed a lot of free throws and still won by a good bit. So a tough Missouri team, who's number 15 in the country right now, and their road doesn't get any easier. But for Auburn, on Saturday, they welcome a cross-state foe to Neville Arena, the Georgia Bulldogs, who, when we played them the first time.
Longest 0.6 seconds ever.
Yes, that, and both teams were ranked. Mm-hmm. Georgia was, I think, 23rd when we played them, and Auburn walked away with a 70-68 win in Athens. Lost the word there. In Athens. This time, a little bit different. Georgia, I think, has a
3-game losing skid.
3-game losing skid, is 4-9 in the conference, but is trying to get back on track. So another team, hungry, trying to work their way into in a good spot in the SEC tournament and SEC play. I think it's going to be a battle.
Yeah, always have to watch out for freshman Austin Newell, who kind of missed that game tying shot that could have sent the game to overtime. And I always feel like a player having that shot against the team is going to hold a grudge against that team. So I feel like he's going to come in hot. Blue Cane kind of went on a little bit of run against Auburn. There were just a couple of good players where when you have such a close game against the #1 team in the country and you have a chance to play them again, they're going to come in even hotter than before. And then on the contrast, Auburn having such a poor offensive performance tonight, I think they're going to come in hot as well.
Yeah, and I think the focus in practice this week will be intense. I think practices this week will be the Bruce Pearl practices where he gets these guys to tighten up, because that's what they needed to do a little more of tonight. I know they came out victorious, but there was moments where you were like, come on. We got to figure it out here. There's moments where they didn't look like the #1 team in the country despite winning, and in the end looking like it. A tough last 5 games for Georgia. 4 out of 5 of them were losses. Lost at Alabama, versus Mississippi State at home, at A&M, and versus Missouri, with a win over LSU in there too. So a Georgia team on a tough little skid, but looking to get back in the win category. And I think a big piece for Auburn will just be not turning the ball over. Yeah. It's something in Athens that they struggled with. I know Todd Pettiford had a fantastic game. Denver Jones, that was the time where he was still figuring it out. He had a tough game last time. Georgia averages more steals than Auburn does, and outside of that, Auburn has them beat in just about every category. So don't turn the ball over, probably win the boards, and make some threes, and I think Auburn should be in the clear, especially in this home.
Yeah, this place. And coming off a game tonight where they had silly little turnovers, they were just try to make a pass, and Arkansas. We're losing our brains. What time is it?
You alley-ooped it, and I just dumped it.
It's 11:40. Sorry, guys.
Late.
These 8 o'clock games are awesome. But just coming off a game where there have been silly turnovers tonight, I think that that will be cleaned up by Bruce Pearl in practice, I think and hope.
And that game is set for Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time. And I think it will be on ESPN as well. I could be wrong, but I think I saw that. We'll just have to see. But a good one on deck for Auburn. A great win tonight for Auburn, a 7-point win.
It is on ESPN. I just checked.
60 to God, let's go. We love having a fact checker. Auburn beats Arkansas in Neville Arena 67 to 60. Your toasts for the night to wrap up this fantastic victory episode of Straight Out of the Jungle. Talk to me.
So, like I said, I had 2 toasts. One of them was going to be to clipboards, a.k.a. Nate Oates and Coach Cal, because Missouri just rerouted Alabama 110 to 98. Missouri scoring 110 to Alabama. Missouri is a team to watch out for. Glad Auburn has played them already. And then I'm going to give it to a Kentucky guy, Amari Williams. This stat, I saw this on Twitter, and I was kind of mind blown. He is the first Division I or NBA player since Gasol did it in 2010 for the Lakers to have 15-plus points, 4-plus blocks, 100% from the floor, 100% from the free throw line, and 0 fouls.
Wow.
That's my toast, Amari Williams.
That is.
Hopefully he doesn't do that in 2 Saturdays against
March
Auburn.
1st. Don't do it, buddy.
Isn't that unreal?
That's a great. I'm still kind of thinking about that. Since Gasol.
In 2010 for the Lakers in the NBA and D1.
Goodness gracious. What a game for Amari Williams. And UK gets a win tonight.
Mm-hmm.
A big win. Enough to make Jeff Goodman wear a Kentucky hat. Did not. That's first on things I didn't expect to see tonight. My toast, I've got 2 of them. First, Chad Baker-Mazara reaching the 1,000-point mark tonight with a free throw. He said he started his career with a free throw, got to 1,000 points with a free throw, something he wasn't able to do in high school, which I was surprised about because he was a bucket getter in high school. Some things don't change, CBM. So congrats to you, 1,000 points. He looked right at us on the sideline there. I was videoing. He looked right at me. He just said, and I know in his mind he's saying, it's numero uno, baby. That's his go-to. And my other one, I'm going to do it. My toast is to technical fouls because I love grit. I love the grind. I love the smack talk. I was right in it tonight. There was so many times when the Auburn student section was chanting, "Shut up, Cal." It was intense tonight, and I loved it. I loved every last second of it. CBM gets a technical. I don't care. It was he hits a 3. He talks smack. That's all right. I don't care. I think let him have it. Vivasic, his technical tonight was a tough one, but I also saw DJ Wagner walk up to him, dapped him up, gave him a chest bump. Was like, come on, that's what. See, these are just guys that want to get into it. They love the game, and for a game in the pro level that is turned soft as Charmin Ultra, I love to see the toughness. I love to see the smack talk, which results in technical fouls. Love to see that on the stat sheet.
And you love a gritty game where Auburn wins.
This is true. And when they grit it out like they did tonight, 67 to 60 over Coach Cal and Arkansas, a great one, no doubt. Jojo, you got anything else?
We will be having another guest soon.
That we will.
Another player.
Mo guests.
The veteran himself, Simo. Very excited to talk about him. He's been here for 5 years. Just such a leader on this team. So really excited to hear about his experience being on the number 1 team in the country for the second time. He's been on both.
Yeah, Mo guests, Mo starting appearances, more stuff coming your way.
Wow. Is there another one?
One Mo victory in the win column. How about that?
That was fire.
I am on a roll with Mo to come. I think it's going to be a great one with Simo. I'm excited to sit down with another senior, Mo Seniors, and it's going to be awesome. And we're going to have your Georgia recap for you Saturday night as well. So it's going to be action-packed. We've got a good week ahead of us with plenty more awesome ranked basketball on the horizon. That's all from Neville Arena. My name is Vince Wolfram. This was a fantastic episode of Straight Out of the Jungle.
I agree. Kind of one of my favorites yet. So on the floor of Neville Arena, I'm Jojo Cavanagh.
Good night and War Eagle.
War Eagle.